color of skin. Not. Rebuff your addiction to delusion from lies of those who would let your family starve or drown in debt while they buy $5,000 lampshades, money they stole from you, because they block a living wage, because they pay no taxes. Taxes. Their lies have you trailing the huge stars and stripes from your pickup truck as you pick up slander and swallow holes that inflate your flag and your ego with lies, misinformation, and major road apples. Road apples. Well, poets don't want you to die. Poets don't want your children to shoot other children. Poets don't want white flatfoots to shoot unarmed black citizen human beings. In my America, there's no K's. In my America, everyone gets to sit at the table of peace. The table of peace. Everyone, not just one color of skin. Not just one color of skin. Poets don't want anyone's elders or children to die from COVID. This poem is to remind you that the flag you fly, believing the lie that the election was rigged, is our flag too. The poets always remind, the poets always warn, the poets always show and don't tell. The flag is our flag too, and we poets stand right here and take her back. I say take, you say her back. Take
her back.
Take
her back.
Take
her back.
That's what I said. Give some love for everybody who's on Zoom. I'm going to say I love all of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You are my America. Every one of you are my America. And we're here to celebrate a very American journal. But first, I have to honor someone from Haiti. And about 20 years ago, I went to a union conference in Tijuana where union members from all over the world came, and there was a man from Haiti. He was a very big man. He'd been picking vegetables and fruit in the fields all his life. His hands were twice as big as mine. If you want to get a feeling for what his hands would be like, shake hands.
Can I see if you click on the green?
That's what his hands are like. Where's Jack? There he is. Shake hands with this man over here. And that's what this union representative, a big, strong, super smart black man. And I said, what can you tell me about the famine in Haiti? And he said, oh, that's a simple answer.
Okay, we changed it.
We're hungry for our leader.
They tried that too.
Bring a Restad back. And so here was another poet who was really good at figurative language, because he wasn't talking about the food that was not being eaten. He was talking about the thief that happened. It took his leader away. And so I want to do a shout out right now for a lady who was here before we were all here. And she's an amazing singer. And Dr. Caro, would you stand up, please?
I think they're in the waiting room. Thank you so much.
And she is with her dance group that's also here. Thank you very much. And she'll be here in 2 weeks with her band, and they are just amazing. They did this bossa nova thing, and her dance group came up and just wowed us all for about 20 seconds. It was really nice.
Thank you guys. For some reason, I ended up being on the mailing list, and I just see it all the time, and then I said, oh, now I have a face.
You have written 4 books?
Yeah, I've written many books. I happen to be an OBGYN, and also I've published many books, and then just now I'm singing that.
She got some pipes. Definitely got some pipes. Thank you, Dr. Crow, for coming. So we're gonna do a little housekeeping. If you need to use the restroom, it's back here on the left. people on Zoom, you're gonna have to help yourself where you are. And we also want to remind you that there's a lot of people on the list today. There are people that are mostly in the book, all right? So please, 2 poems or 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
I touch his hand, he's not that bad.
Yes, gotta be gentle. Okay, and if you are going to sing, you have 2 songs or 10 minutes. So please remember we have a really good reputation here of being respectful to the people who are waiting to read. And so please remember 2 points or 5 minutes. Okay, and so everybody, Julio, are you going to read today, I hope? Julio, are you there? You're gonna read, okay. And I know, Chris, you're gonna read. And I can't even pronounce that Polish name. Dafar Nowicki, are you going to read today? Hey,
No,
Chris,
we're
we
just
got-
here to listen. We're just audience members.
Okay, you're just audience members, okay. And can we give some love? If you look over there, there's this Garden Oak Press. That is Bill Harding. He's the one, that's the straw that serves the drink while we have this book. That's Bill Harding. So we've been doing these for a while. They've been in different libraries. So thank you for coming to support the San Diego Poetry Annual. This man, I've been working for this man for a really long time. And he is not afraid of social justice. He is not afraid of any kind of poetry that you want to get published in this, especially if you write from your heart. We have one of the other organizers who just walked in, Michael Clam. Would you wave to everybody? When we send our points in, when we're a regional editor and we send our points in, we send it to Michael, to Bill, and to, she's not here, Amara. So we send it to Amira, and they always respond, okay, we got your point. So we are now taking admissions for the next Poetry Annual. The deadline is October 15th. So I hope you will consider sending your poems in to, it's open from now until October 15th, so we can have another really good book. And so I'm going to take a minute here, a second. Our first poet comes to my poetry classes. She told me she wanted to sing today. And when she writes, it's really nice. But when she gives feedback to the other poets about what she sees in their poem or what she hears in their poem or the music of their poem, I feel like I have a co-teacher when she shows up. So please welcome, give a lot of space bar love to Amitra Carol Smith.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Won't you sit down or just microphone?
I've got a little setup. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
While I'm doing setup, I'll tell you about my stage fright. I wrote a little song for it. I got stage fright. I'm scared shitless. So afraid I will end up witless. All in a muddle. I'll melt in a puddle of failed ambition on the floor. And since we have a tech wizard present, if anything goes wonky, you know, maybe
You can blame me, yeah.
Yeah,
That's my,
yeah, yeah,
that's
it,
generally
yeah, that's
what
it.
happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We do. Okay. Has your heart ever been broke? You know, as poets, the word broken is not adequate. When your heart is broke, it's broke, right? So this song has, I hope you won't mind, has a tiny little bit of vengeance for somebody who broke somebody's heart, a little bit of vengeance. And I'm gonna, because I like you and you're beautiful poets, I'm gonna throw in a little personal history, which you will catch and maybe it'll give you a laugh. All right. You know, and also, if you want to sing along, this thing is too low.
Yeah.
You are more than welcome. In fact, I would love it. And thank you. Much better. And for, yeah, I think that's okay. It's just falling down on me. I'm not going to make a joke out of that. Okay. The refrain, how many of you know Cry Me a River? Dolores. If you are so inclined, I want to let you know that in my experience, 99% of Americans believe they cannot sing. And if you ask them to say, oh no, yeah, I have a terrible voice. I can't sing. I don't sing. And then in my experience, when they jump in, they sing really well and they can sing. So if you are so inclined, the refrain for this song is, cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. Excellent. All right. Okay. I want you to know I never fucking swear. Good. I feel a lot better. Thank you. Okay. I didn't know I was going this soon, so I actually need a flute holder. Can somebody come up for a second? Alistair? Alistair, right? It's magic. It's your new drum. Yeah, thank you. That's a little weird. Well, I was, this is only my second time, and I was so honored to be here with you poets. And afterward, I thought, yeah, I remember Alistair sitting over there, and Chris was doing great delivery of his poems, and there was Michael and David and Jim. And, don't tell me, Alfred Will, who also goes by Alfred Will.
Alfred Williams.
Well, I know it's Williams, but somewhere it was printed Alfred Will, and I thought that was kind of cool. Okay. Anyway, let me just. Yeah, thank you. All right. All right. Do it right now.
Gonna put on your resume?
I was at the farmer's market one time in Hillcrest, and I was putting apples in a bag, and the person selling the apples said, "Oh, good job." And I said, "Are you an elementary teacher?" And she said, "Oh, God, yes."
You can relate.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you say you're lonely. You cry the whole night through. When you can cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. Now you say you're sorry for being so untrue with the news girl from Channel 8. When you can cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head. And you never shed a tear. I remember all that you said. That love was too plebeian and you were through with me. And now you say you love me. Well, just to prove it's true, get ready. Come on and cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head. And you never shed a tear. I remember all that you said. That love was too plebeian and you were through with me. And now you say you love me. Well, just to prove it's true, get ready. Come on and cry me a river, cry me a river. Long note. I cried a river over you. Oh, yeah. I had, wait, Irish music. Stop. I had no idea how much time had gone by. Could have been 2 minutes, it could have been 20 minutes. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you'll carry the chair. Just grab your case. We'll get the chairs.
You need one of those shepherd hooks. You pull people off the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take it, got it, buddy? Yeah, I got it.
Thank you, Michael.
Sure. Okay, let's give Mitra some more love,
I wanted
please.
to meet you last time.
And our first poet from the anthology, Michael Clan, was able to send me a list of people. This is Jeanette Showalt. Jeanette, welcome. Okay.
Sorry. Occupational hazard.
My job.
Working on it. I'm not fast, but I'm thorough. One poem, and it's going to be quick. Equal time. Okay, thank you. This is called The Treasure. We sat at the restaurant, chatting away, enjoying the moment, the end of our day. Silverware, linens, and old wooden chairs. He tucked in his tie. I smoothed my hair. He finished his drink. I blotted my lips. I didn't notice the napkin that slipped off the table as we said goodnight. We stopped for a kiss beneath the streetlight. That was our first date, a lifetime ago. And though he's passed on, I still love him so. Everyone's gone, the house is so still. Time to clean closets and give to Goodwill. I've gone through his papers and packed up his shoes, the ones that he danced me around until 2. And last is an old suit covered with dust. I pull from the pocket a hanky I trust. Yellowed and folded and easy to miss is a napkin that bears the trace of a kiss. One last I love you, a secret to go, that blots salty tears, to suddenly know that all of these years to this man in my locket, I've been the treasure he kept in his pocket.
How about some more love for Jeanette? So we're going to go on Zoom for a minute here. And this young man is a professor at Baylor University in Texas. I would imagine it's a little warm over there right now, my friend. This is Julio Cesar Aguilar.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to read the poem that is included in the San Diego anthology. I can breathe. I can breathe either when hate kills so many George Floyds with impunity. Where did justice flee cowardly, becoming invisible under the stones of those trails of blood? Or is it that it never existed? I can breathe either and I die here. Oh, delirium of shadows, storm of furious anger, lightning and fire. But now, let the flower of harmony burn in peace, and let its radiance reach where darkness is most dense. Let the flower of harmony light up. Let's light it up now. Thank you.
Thank you. Hermano, ¿está bien? Repita en español, por favor.
Sure, I can read it in Spanish.
En español, por favor.
Just a second.
And poem in Spanish, folks.
Yes.
We all honor all our Spanish speakers in San Diego when you come here.
Okay. I can breathe. Yo tampoco puedo respirar cuando el odio mata a tantos George Floydes impunemente. ¿A dónde la justicia huyó, cobarde, haciéndose invisible bajo las piedras de esos senderos de sangre? ¿O es que no ha existido jamás? Yo tampoco puedo respirar y aquí me muero, oh delirio de sombras, tormenta de furiosa ira, relámpago y fuego. Pero ahora arda en paz la flor de la concordia y su fulgor llegue a donde la oscuridad es más densa. Enciéndase ya la flor de la concordia. Encendámosla ya. Gracias.
And so our next poet is Richard Hernandez. Are you here, Richard? Come on up.
There you go. There you go.
All right.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good, good. All right. My name is Richard, but I go by Software Mumbo on Instagram. If you want to hit me up or tell your grandkids about me, I know a lot of you don't have Instagram. That's okay. Well, admittedly, I have some pretty raunchy stuff, so I'll ease into it, like raunchy stuff tends to do. All right. If in the end I come clean, just to save face from the shame that these tender sonatas that bubble up in me come out like a full thesis, and I lose the words to the ether and the ephemera, then let me be, after I empty my pockets of all my pretty words and tiny grand gestures, know that I have much more of that to give. Know that alchemists and poets are grown in the same pastures. We conjure pain and love out of anything. These things are much more honest than gold, but not rare at all. The candle's gentle light cradles your soft curves, worming freckles and dimples that the sun will never be good enough for. I caress you first with my eyes, then my soft hands. Lastly, in my memories for the rest of my nights. Soft skin plumps between my desperate wanting hands. Nostalgia will close my eyes as I breathe deeply, trying to catch a hint of your intoxicating scent so I can be at peace. And finally, let sleep claim the eyes that you have once blessed, as the fire's radiance gently lick the walls of our room with soft candlelight. Thank you, Software Mumble.
We're here the second Sunday of each month, and we need your kind of voice around here. Can we give him some more love, please, on that night? Isn't that nice? You all just got your money's worth, didn't you? I'm writing a class up for San Diego Writers Inc. on the seasons of grief. And the second part of the workshop, there's two 90-minute segments, and the second part of the workshop is about the grief that we have because in our zeitgeist, in the emotional, the moral tone of our country, there seems to be a lack of kindness, and we would like to have kindness and dignity and respect that. And so the next gentleman that we're going to bring up is one of the people that puts the San Diego Poetry Annual together. And I've asked him to read, but I hope he'll talk a little bit about what this annual is about for him, because he's definitely one of the organizers. He's one of the straws that stirs the drink. This is Michael Clam.
So thanks, Jim. Give Jim some love. Come on, we love you, dude. Everything you do. We're looking forward to Native Poets. We're looking forward to poetry from Juvenile Hall and all that you've done over the years. Just, you're awesome. Thank you so much, Jim. So we have anthologies in English and Spanish. The deadline for this year is October 15th. And you just go to the website and it says submit poetry at the top. Click there, and then the submit poetry button at the bottom. I thought I would be quick and just ask you a page. So give me a page number. 404 pages in the big anthology and 83 pages in Post Soul, English and Spanish. So just give me a number. Somebody give me a number. 33. All right, so 33. All right, this is the Anuario. This is page 33 from the Anuario. And again, much love to Jim and everybody for getting your poems in to the San Diego Poetry Annual. The deadline's coming up. Get them in. The sea, its waves in the border of dream. Here we are, mother, face to face. The sea in loneliness is blue. How many afternoons have passed for the encounter? How many winters? And you say nothing. You are 42 years old, I know. But all of a sudden, you are a child in the streets of a city with no name. And you spin around among the circular haze. In front of your eyes that are my eyes, infinite streets are opened. Avenues as our legs towards the center of desire. Tell me who planted in the high tide of your womb this fallen wave. What happened next, I ask you. You ran out of bread of water as I ran out of the will to live, and the door is so narrow. You are not a child anymore, mother. There come the hours, the days, the years, and the sky is not blue or white, is the light of the world. But tell me, what am I for your womb? Now I am 24 years old, and never the nights have been so dark. Loneliness in flames overwhelmed. Here we are, mother, for the first time. This is my kingdom. The sea, its borders. Stay with me to live. It does not matter. If at dawn your figure is an omen. El mar, sus olas a la orilla del sueño. Aquí estamos, madre, frente a frente. El mar en soledad es azul. ¿Cuántas tardes transcurrieron para el encuentro? ¿Cuántos inviernos? Y tú nada dices. Tienes 4 y 2 años, lo sé. Pero de pronto eres una niña en las calles de una ciudad sin nombre. Y te ves por ahí, te vas por ahí. Entre la prisa circular. Ante tus ojos que son mis ojos. Se abren calles infinitas, avenidas, como las piernas hacia el centro del deseo. Dime quién sembró en la marea alta de tu vientre esta ola que cae. ¿Qué pasa luego? Te pregunto. ¿Se te acabó el pan, el agua? Como a mí las ganas de vivir y la puerta es tan estrecha. Ya no eres una niña, madre. Vienen las horas, los días, los años y el cielo no es azul ni blanca la luz del mundo. Pero dime, ¿qué soy para tu vientre? Tengo ahora 20 años, 24 años, y nunca las noches fueron tan oscuras. Soledad en llamas desbordada. Estamos aquí, madre, por primera vez. Este es mi reino, el mar, sus orillas. Quédate conmigo a vivir. No importa que al amanecer sea tu figura en presagio. All right. So the English, Spanish, we do it all. And please let your hands in. Jim, thank you again.
I want to do a shout out for Anthony Blackshear, who, when he was a student at Cal State San Marcos, he was an All-American hurdler, and he was starting to come to open mics, and I was amazed at his poems that were countering racism. And I asked him if he would come into juvenile hall with me, and he would read to the guys in juvenile hall. And he did such a good job that when I came back the next week, after he had read his poems to the boys, they were mad at me because I didn't bring him back with me. Where's his stage name is Ant Black. Where's the ant guy? Why didn't you bring him? Well, he's working. And so Ant Black, we love you. Thanks for helping out. We're going to bring up Carly Marie Demento. Carly, please. Can we give her some love, please?
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to Jim and Michael and everybody who puts together the San Diego Poetry Annual. You just published my first poem, or it was the first time I've been published, so thank you so much, and I'm really excited to be part of this community. This poem, I'm going to read two short poems. This poem is the first in a trilogy of poems about my nose. Part 1, Shape. My dad's nose is my nose. It's generous proportions. It's surprising. Hook. My grandpa's nose was my dad's. The list goes on. Pictures on Ancestry prove my nose defies time and space. It reincarnates like the Dalai Lama. Only this nose is easier to find when it's reborn. In fact, it's here with you right now. Not on Peg Leg Patterson or America Sturgis Jones. Names I don't really know, though the screen in front of me assures me we share DNA. I'm less interested in the fact of iron and more in stories. And what exactly is a Quaker or a Roundhead? Why did I think I came from nowhere? Am I reading this right? This nose is royal. Only the son of the king, one step closer to me, was Eggy the unprepared, a poet unfit to rule. Thank you. The second poem is super short. I'm going to read it twice with a quick fact in between. 11:58 p.m. The water glass is nearly empty. Light plays on liquid sand. Midnight is the time for dancing. Light, dancing. The doomsday clock is a symbol that represents the likelihood of a global catastrophe, according to atomic scientists. Right now, the clock is set to 100 seconds to midnight, nearly 11:59 p.m. 11:58 p.m. The water glass is nearly empty. Light, plays on liquid sand. Midnight is the time for dancing. Light dancing. Thank you so much.
We hope you first timers that are here because of the annual will consider yourself part of the Second Sunday community. And we would hope you would come back every second Sunday and read, because I don't know about you, but I'm not the same man that walked in the door. These poets and their poems are transformational. Can we give these people that just read, can we give them some love, please? You are definitely my America. And speaking of that, this little mural that's over on this wall, that was done by this man. That was the man that walked up to me and said, let's start an open mic. I said, oh, I don't want to deal with all those personalities. And he said, brother, we're both hungry for community. I only have one condition. I said, well, what's that? He says, we'll do it at a Black-owned business. So the gentleman over there that's sitting down right now, his name is Frank Moody, and he's the owner, and he makes us feel like family all the time. Air Force veteran, served our country for 20 years. So Frank, we love you. And if you haven't had any of his hamburger and fries, you're missing out. A hell of a lot better than a Big Mac, huh? All right.
Great garden salad. Really good. And a mama's place. So hey.
All right, there you go. All right, so we're going to continue on. This man owes me a lot of money, and so I kind of keep track of him. I don't want him to get too far out of sight. I am grateful for him because he promised to fix my refrigerator, and we're going to do that soon, I hope. Nominated for the Pushcart Prize. We give him a hard time. We love his stories about his wife that passed, Patsy. This is Joe Milosh.
That's good. I can handle it from here. Oh, that's perfect. You know, Mike and I got here a little early and we were talking about how good the food is here. And Mike says that's because Frank comes from the Air Force. If he'd been in the Army, the food would have been unedible. So, but you know, I served my time in the Army, and I'm always people tell me that I comment on the difficulty thinking in the Army has. Well, let me say it this way. When I got drafted, I went in and they put you in a room and they asked you to re-up before you even been in an hour and for more years. And they give you a list of things to do, and one was being a pilot. So I said, hey, I'd like to be a pilot. Yeah, that sounds cool. And they go, well, hey, how tall are you? And I said, 5'7". He said, sorry, you have to be 6 feet to fly. So, but we have this job for you that you don't have to re-up for. It's jumping out of airplanes with a mine strapped to your body. And I said, damn, yeah, I'd like to do that. So I did that, or I thought about it. And then as I was waiting to go to demo school, they said, how would you like to take aerial photos instead of jumping out of planes with mines strapped to you? And I said, oh, yeah, okay, I'll do that. So they send you in for your physical, and the doctor says, how tall are you? And I said, oh, I'm 5'7". He said, well, you can't do that. You're too tall. True story. I wish I could make this up. But that has nothing to do with this poem. Oh, okay. I got it. Thank you, Janet. But I wanna be a little serious now about the Army, because when I was in the Army, they gave me a job that usually goes to the best soldier in the company. And they gave it to me and I didn't deserve it, that's true. But I was at Fort Lewis and they brought in a bunch of soldiers' bodies who had died over now. And I got to stand guard duty that night, and that's an honor that very few people get. And I was very grateful to the Army for that. And I'd like to read this poem. It's called I Give Back. The eeriest silence I heard was that night I stood guard over 5 flag-covered caskets in a hangar. That was the year I was so young, and the rain raced off the metal roof. Tonight, I sit at my desk as the streetlight streams through the window. It illuminates the novel All Quiet on the Western Front. In the story, the private asks, "What are we dying for?" His sergeant answers, "We die so the emperor can believe he's powerful." As the private dies, his uniform caked with dirt and sweat, did he think about the emperor's power? The novel tells us only that silence reigned everywhere during his death. That night, my room is lit by an outside light and my breathing is hushed. I first read the novel in the Army at Fort Lewis. It seemed to rain there every day and the pines continually drip. The barracks windows were streaked, stained and wet. When I stood guard, my poncho offered little resistance to the rain. Thinking I was going to Nam, I identified with the private situation. And on the night I stood guard duty over the dead, I asked myself, what can a story do for the 5 men covered by their country's flag? As the hours passed, I looked frequently at the rain spilling off the roof and turning into steam as it battered the outside light. That was during the hour that I was most confused and mixed the real deaths of the soldiers with that of an imaginary private. He died in the story about World War I. 36 years passed since I stood in that darkness, which was mitigated by the outside light. Tonight, I remember the silence I shared with the dead. I rise and I face my life for no other reason than I was young once, like those I stood guard over. And for them who died for God knows what, I wish to give back that year, 1971, along with the clouds, the rain, and the dampness soaking my boots. I give them the one outside light that kept me from total darkness. And to history, I give back that awful silence draping the dead. It was like the silence in the novel written by a German soldier. He ended the story in the deafening silence after the war's final battle. While stillness settled like dust, a butterfly perched on a clump of dirt along the rim of a bomb's carrier cluttered with corpses. Thank you.
Give some more love for Joe, please. Joe Malash. Want to call up a student of poetry. She's in my workshop. She goes to workshops all over the country. And we're also not going to be surprised when she starts teaching poetry. This is Janice Alper.
I need the book. My book. I'm a long way from teaching poetry. I'm still learning. Thank you very much. This is from this year's poetry annual, and I have one coming in next year. Okay. And then I'm going to read something new. I'm on page 374. Ode to RBG. When you were a child, your mother whispered in your ear, be a lady, be your own person, be independent. She died before you became a woman. You heeded her words. Independent to the core, never felt second class until you became a lawyer, subject to vituperative barbs from men in shiny suits who drank smelly scotch, demeaned you for being born female. From afar, I watched you with your horn-rimmed glasses march and protest along dusty, crowded New York streets, on the sweeping plains of Kansas, on the shore of the Pacific. The day you put your lace collar on the black silk robe that swallowed you, I cheered, happy to see you take your place among austere, unsmiling men, as a jurist in the highest court in the land. For more than 20 years, you disagreed without being disagreeable, legislated fairly, impressed a new generation of women and men. When you passed away, I mourned you, wept for you. Our whole nation mourned you. Thousands came to honor you in that bastion of hysteric testosterone, the Capitol Rotunda. Your memory is emblazoned in my psyche. RBG, another feisty female from Brooklyn who never forgot what she learned from her mother. So give me a moment. I'm learning to do this on my phone because I'm tired of wasting paper. And it's right here. Just as a preface, I'm preparing a volume called Traversing the World, VERSE-ING. I am very privileged, even though I'm a girl from Brooklyn. I have been on all 7 continents. And so I'm writing about my travels. And by the way, Chris, I love looking at you when I read that poem. This is called In the Valley of the Kings, Egypt, 1993. It is serene here in this Valley of the Kings, whose names I can't pronounce. Buried in tombs, preserved frescoes tell the story of nightly journeys to join imperishable stars. Food left for sustenance, long decayed. Jewelry, copper bowls, fine cotton robes, long gone, plundered by grave robbers. Were these the pharaohs who enslaved my ancestors, or were they benevolent rulers who welcomed them as immigrants, protected them? Every year at Passover, we recount the exodus from Egypt, how we escaped the cruel Pharaoh, wandered for 40 years in a desert, just like this one. It is hard to imagine a harsh king or queen amid this beauty, these pyramids, temples, ancient art. Perhaps we come to the Valley of the Kings to remind us to honor freedom, uphold humanity, for there is good in everyone. Thank you very much. This is my little self-published book that came out right before the pandemic, and there's a few copies on the table. Thank you, Doris.
We can thank Janice for her letting us the annual for people to read from. We thank Janice for that, please. Give us some love. So we are recording this. We really want to express, my mom said, you don't just talk about respect, you show respect. And so we really want to show respect for the annual, for Bill, Michael, all the people involved. And so if you don't want yourself to be on the recording, let us know you've already read, and we'll do something about that. And if you're coming up and you don't want to be seen on the recording, don't come up, please, because we're recording. And but we wanted to give you the choice instead of announcing, oh, by the way. And so let's bring up our next poet, please. Sarita is not online. Sarita, are you in the space bar right now? Sarita Martin? No? Okay, so the next poet, please give some space bar love to Robbie Hamill.
Hello, hello. I am Robbie Hamill. This is a poem I called The Thing with Feathers. At the time, my wife had been caught sleeping with the local pharmacist. It was my friends found out, told me about it. They practically wanted to stone her to death, but I had to give her the benefit of the doubt, find out for myself while keeping my friends at bay. I was in a bad place financially too. My boss had told me I was on my last chance with the fishing company, and in the midst of my final warning, a new company of fishermen had moved into town and were undercutting our business. My hours dropped in half. I was behind on rent and could barely afford to feed my probably cheating wife. So I bought a small collection of birds, and I knew where I could upsell them quickly, only I didn't have a city permit. I admit I knew it was dicey, but I needed the money. If I did end up getting divorced, I'd need it even more. I'm not even sure if I want a divorce or not, So anyway, there I was outside the temple selling doves. I didn't even see it coming. This random guy went nuts and started flipping tables. He wasn't even a city official. I thought at first he'd do good business because he had a lot of people with him, but shit, was I wrong? My birds went everywhere, almost all my money gone in an instant, flying away like a sacrifice to no God for no mortals. What could I do? That piece of human garbage who let go all my money did the same thing to everybody down there. The guys with permits can go to the next board meeting, but I'm just fucked. I got no recourse. It's all lost. And now what am I going to do? I hope they find that fucking guy. So I want to say, I'm not in this year's annual. I was in 2016, or maybe 2017, 2018. I don't know. I was a student at Cal State San Marcos. And one of my professors was a guy, Brandon Sema. He's a regional editor for the annual. And he saw in one of his classes, I had written a very Catholic sounding poem. I wrote a poem about Caravaggio with one of his paintings. And he saw that and he asked me if he could publish it in the annual. And I don't know about you guys, being published in the annual, didn't change my life at all. But having a professor at that university pick that type of poem in particular gave me so much hope in this world. I was like, ooh, I didn't feel safe with that kind of work. I don't know. I'm not even Catholic, but I just feel like religious poems are the most unsafe thing to share in Southern California. I could be wrong. It's just my feeling. Anyways, here's one of the ones that did get into annual. It's called Literature 309B, Modern to Multicultural American Literature. In the upper division lit classes, there's a loose interpretation of truth. The instructor faintly prompts discussion, and each student speaks one at a time, as in a bookish courtroom, kids on trial. It reminds me of the halfway houses, rehabs, the camps for dangerous children, those helpless counselors faintly prompting, and teenage junkies just off heroin, pitching lofty love advice to young drunks. Some of them lying, some too smart for their own good. They're in for a wash and a certificate, as if it makes life easier out there. Some of them dying, desperate enough to pray.
Isn't it nice to hear an intellect? It's so nice. That young man's not gonna tell us to shoot up bleach to fight the COVID. Can we give him some more love, please? That was wonderful. Please come back at Second Sunday. We're here. And I consider this a community of hope and sanity for myself, and I hope for you too. Right. Is Hodge here? Someone named Hodge. Okay, I guess not. How about Trevon? Is it Trevon Wang? Did I say that right? Trevon Wang? I can't read my writing, Michael. Is Trevon here?
No, he's not here.
Okay. Did I say the right last name?
It's Trevor Wing.
Oh, Trevor Wing?
Yeah.
Okay, Trevor Wing. Trevor, we hope you're okay wherever you are. Ah, I think you're really going to enjoy Bobby Jean Bishop.
Yes.
She was sitting next to me at a John Fox workshop. I'd never seen her before, and we had a nice conversation. And then she read her poem, and I just felt like such a pretender. You'll hear it. Fasten your seatbelts for Bobby Jean Bishop.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bobby Jean. I have a poem in the 2022, but I'm going to elect to read two other poems that I just submitted for this year, if I can see them here. Let's see. I just have to get the right position here. I'm going blind, unfortunately. I mean, you know, it's like I'm 78 and I never thought this would happen. I had such good vision when I was younger. But you get, yeah, age is a lot of fun. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. It's a challenge. It's a good thing. Okay, this is called Covenant with My Past. A cluster of red balloons nods on the rise with its odd note of gaiety, a fete for death. Down the slope, my daughter lies amidst other infants, belonging to life for but a brief time. Old grief stirs. It's been years since I stood by her casket, unwilling to believe she no longer needed to be nestled in my arms. Each time I look for her resting place, her plot number is hard to find. I hire a stonemason to lay a granite marker engraved with an angel by her name. Now it's easier to walk the rows, spotting her stone between markers of two baby boys. When I bring a bouquet, I place extra blooms on their graves. Trolley rails run just beyond bright cars, lumbering by with routine sounds of crossing bells, piercing horns. Groundskeepers stay vigilant, making rounds to trim the verdant lawns, while fingers of shade steal over fading scars. Swaddled in a memory of hard farewells, I kneel down to brush away blades of mown grass from her cool, smooth stone. You might be familiar with Mount Hope, the city cemetery. It's a very beautiful cemetery and a nice place to have a loved one in a grave, if you have to have one in a grave. This is called Birthday Present. I never thought to name this entity, but after that July day, it moved like a dark poltergeist into our home. With shocking speed, it whipped the belt out from trouser loops, making my buttocks cry out as if stung by 100 bees. I'd reached the milestone of a grown-up 4. Mom baked a cake. The late afternoon sun streamed through our screened porch, emptying a bucket of shadows over the brown tiles. I relished the muted light, familiar sounds drifting from the street as the 3 of us settled down in the safe cupboard of family.
assigned to duty on this tropical isle. My military father cooled down at home in a sleeveless shirt, and I a sundress, my hair pinned in a top knot on my head. When Dad handed over a bulky, hard-to-hold gift, he helped me to tear off its wrappings and ribbon. We both leaned in from the edge of the cushions, my bird-like body pressing against his solid frame. As he opened the cardboard flaps, exposing the box contents, I peered in, my grin collapsing into a pout. I was gazing at an elaborate collection of bright red plastic dishes, a set to inspire most birthday girls. But I was the unfortunate exception, blurting out these ungracious words, "I don't like to play dishes." In that instant, my father rose up and grabbed me. I'd met fire-breathing dragons only in fairy tales, but now one was springing to life right in the heart of our duplex. This was my debut, performing the role of a damsel in distress, but I was missing one of the cast, a knight who'd rescue me from the scorching flame of a father's fury. It seemed an ungrateful child was a child asking for punishment. Given no choice but to go up in smoke, I retreated to the shores of a kinder story, the saga of Sleeping Beauty. In the garb of a princess, I could slip into sleep for a blissful 100 years, wakened only by the kiss of a gentle prince. I could be restored in my very own fairyland, unsullied by languages of fire and brimstone.
How about some love for Bobby Jean, please? Bobby Jean, I want to thank you for bringing Emiliano. And then will you Emiliana, and will you come and you accompany her? The conversations are always school safe. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So as far as volunteers go, hold on just a second. Michael Turner has been volunteering with Age Well Services since 2004. Michael helps with Poetry Party, Poetic Legacy, Self-Expression Art, and serving seniors. Michael is best known for making a mean pot of coffee and putting a smile on everyone's face. This is Michael Turner Ortega.
Good. I don't mean it. I just need something to do now that I'm retired. Teaching creative writing for 18 years with the Creative Arts Consortium, without any degree or anything, just lived experience. So here comes some lived experience. This is a story of how Mother Nature and human nature play with each other. Similarities of both life and death. I can imagine the wind sharing a tale of lived experience that the moonlight guides me to. A wave that sprays me with the details of how to live. Where it's all about connecting, submerged into a zone of silence, eternity and infinity, exchange gazes. Everything crosses each other's path in the presence of invisible stars. What I want wants me back. Desire turns into adoration. This shell is something more than human without any context. Love connects, hate poisons. Crazy braves, unbounded sway moves me to tears. Post-traumatic growth takes my hand and guides me, creates miracles. Mother Nature becomes a poem. Human nature becomes authentic. Thank you.
Our next poet was just given a plaque by the Beat Poets. Just got back from that trip. He was the San Diego Beat Poet, then he was the National Beat Poet, and then he was the International Beat Poet. And when I first came on the scene in the early 90s, he'd be reading his poems and people would be shouting out lines because of how wonderful he writes. This is Chris Benoit.
There we go. How's that? Hello, everybody. I don't know which poem I'm going to do today. Haven't really figured that one out. Just wanted to say hi to everybody. And sorry I couldn't make it to the reading. Let me see. I'll just do Jim's favorite. Decaf. I don't drink decaf. Give me caffeine. Make me scream as the brown bean bakes in rotating metal drums. Cappuccino on ice. Latte is nice. Espresso my heart. Squeeze it through steam. Let me sip caffeine. Dripping down thick and strong. Dripping down, creamed or chocolated. Sprinkle with nutmeg spice. Vanilla would be nice. More vanilla, please. Squeeze it out of my napkin. Cold, but oh so full of caffeine. Give me a coffee bar in my car. I'll put my order and fill my 2-liter cup to the brim, top with a plop of whipped cream. What a dream. Oh, caffeine. Decaf. I don't drink decaf. Thank you, Jim.
Like Joe's stories about Pepsi, I never get tired of hearing that poem. Thank you, Chris. Give us some more love, please. Chris Benoit. We're just down to our last few poets, and because we are recording, I want to say a few things about how I'm going to vote no on Proposition 26 and 27, how we're being pounded for months now, pounded and pounded, yes on 27, yes on 26. And you do a little research and you'll find a website that says no on 27. 50 tribes, San Pascual, Paula, Palma, Viejas, Barona, did I say Sycuan already? 50 tribes are saying no, this is they're not going to help homelessness. 90% of the profits go to these outside gambling influences. So I know this is going to be, Alfred's going to fix us up to have this on the internet. So if you're listening to this, I want you to know I'm voting no on 27 and 26. I hope you'll do the research to find out somebody who's got a whole bunch of money can pound us on the radio, on TV, on the internet. For every seconds we're getting pounded by the yes on 27. So do your research. Please vote at the midterms and be careful what you're voting for. I want to also say that to us. The thing I forgot to say was if this legislation passes, you'll be able to gamble with a credit card. And compulsive gamblers are going to get a whole bunch of debt really quickly with that. And then a child can gamble if this thing passes. And we definitely don't want to do that, get kids into problems early in their life. So thank you for listening. Let's move on. And I think my buddy who, there's a rumor around this guy taught high school for 2 millennium. This is Chris Ernest Nelson.
And we all wish we had your reading voice, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. And good to see you back home safe, Chris, although it looks like he kind of got caught in the stratosphere on his way back from that background he has. And Julio, thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Chris Ernest Nelson, and this is Someone. We don't need more prophets.
We don't need more words. It has all been said. God is love. Be still. Give us instead a miracle worker, one who will heal the sick, give sight to the blind, and drive out demons, drive them into exile forever. Someone to live the perfect life in the open where we can see. Someone we can touch. Someone to love. Someone to take a bullet for us. The messenger. When he spoke what he heard. The Spirit of light pronounced the word that moved him to sing the song of the essential source deep within. He did not question it, he accepted it because he knew it was the voice of the prescient luminosity who lifted the elemental shadows. He could not explain its meaning because by explaining he would lose it. He knew he had to submit to the power of the word. For as the voice commanded, each one heard his own truth. The truth. The messenger did not ask for agreement, nor for understanding. It worked in him in its own magic and revealed its own message. He saw a fire that didn't burn, so bright it eclipsed the sun. He saw it first in the searing desert, and then again high on the sheerest mountain. Terrified, he fell to his knees and covered his eyes with his hands. But the fire burned through his hands and lit his soul with a flame so hot it was singing. He already knew he would lose everything. The ones he loved, his health. He knew he would find himself alone and in pain. He already knew his body would die. Not one day, but today. He understood the word would teach. He knew he would learn how to make it all right. His thoughts were called to one thing, that one word. He breathed it in and then out again, slowly. He followed it all the way to the quiet place, to where he was born, to where it was born, to where he lived, to where it lived, now and forever. Thank you very much.
As this is being recorded, I have to say, if you are finding us for the first time, that was Dr. Right from Your Heart, Chris Ernest Nelson. Let's give him some more love, please. Next poet is very close to my heart. He featured here this summer. He sang to us, charmed us with his poems. He follows Native American spirituality as I do. And so when I introduce him, I have to say, Aho Matokwe, I'll say, this is Jack Stewart Smith. Jack Stewart Smith.
I'm gonna sit down. I thought like a dart. Oh, God. Oh, Matarque,
Didn't like that. Megan, my brother.
Yeah, I'll sneak up there. Hello, family.
Hello, Jan.
Yeah, I love you all, family.
Love you too, man.
Thank you.
You, brother.
Love you too.
This is a song I wrote. Won't you look down on this blue world? Oh, look down. Oh, look down. Won't you look down on us humans? Please look down. Please look down. Help us remember. Help us remember who we are. And help us remember that we all started on your star. Won't you look down on this blue earth? Oh, look down. Oh, look down. Won't you look down on us humans? Please look down. Please look down and help us remember. Help us remember who we are. And help us remember that we all started on your star. Won't you look down on this blue earth? Oh, look down. Thank you.
Thank you.
To all the gods. No one knows how many gods have ruled and been worshipped since the beginning of humankind. Does it truly matter? I'm not too sure. But I'm just wondering, are we all just energy in a quest for something greater than ourselves? Searching for answers to questions that have been so poorly framed. Questions that would be better off if left to innocent minds and the pure hearts of children. But if just by chance one of you gods might read this, I would like to humbly inquire, why is it we humans are compelled to harm one another? Have we been left to our own devices to kill, to heal, to fight for greed, or fight for peace, to love, or to hate, to cause to die, or die for a cause? Are we being taught to become more and more like members of the God family? Does sadness, suffering, and pain open our eyes and our hearts. Are we becoming more aware? Please feel free if in any way one or two of you gods would like to send me some answers. I think you all know there's a whole lot of us in need of counseling and consoling. May all us humans search inside our deepest, darkest, hidden, and locked chambers. Find the God that speaks to us and listen carefully. It may be the voice of our own inner child. To all the gods, thank you.
Jack Stewart Smith, how about some more letters?
Test 1, 2.
Our next poet is not a newcomer here. He's been coming here for a long time. And I think that was a prayer for thought. This young man has food for thought. This is Alistair McLeod. Alistair.
These days, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot call myself a poet. There's nothing springing forth from me. I've concluded a channel. And I'm going to channel a couple of things to you that have meant a lot to me, and I hope they'll mean something to you. In 1918, a much-loved American socialist, Eugene V. Debs, was convicted of violating the Espionage Act of 1917 because he had spoken in public against the war we now know as World War I. In his address to the trial court, he opened with these words. Your Honor, years ago, I recognized my kinship with all living beings, and I made up my mind that I was not one bit better than the meanest on the earth. I said then, and I say now, that while there is a lower class, I am in it. And while there is a criminal element, I am of it. And while there is a soul in prison, I am not free. I'm sure many of you know the recording by Solomon Burke of the Blind Boys of Alabama. If one of us is chained, none of us are free. I'm not going to sing that, even though it's one of the songs I love most in the world. But obviously it comes to mind in this context. Since I know we're pretty short on time, I'm going to cut a little off.
5 minutes, brother.
Like more? No. All right, so now I want to sing you a song that many of you of a certain age may know. I found myself in deep conflict about presenting it because it is best known as a protest against the Vietnam War. And I believe that there are men here who fought in that war. I did not. I want those men to know that I mean them not the smallest disrespect. And I understand as fully as anyone can who did not fight in that war or any war, the disgraceful treatment that greeted those men on their return to America. I am singing this song not because I wish to protest any war. With the savagery being perpetrated in Ukraine, who can speak without a troubled heart about the necessity of a resort to arms? I am singing this song because its author, Buffy St. Marie, Native American, well, not Native American, Native Canadian, she was a Cree, intended it not so much as a war protest, as a statement of our collective and individual responsibility for all that is wrong, unjust, violent, and cruel in the world. Whether I can find the strength to shoulder that responsibility in any way that makes a difference, I don't know. What I do know is that at times I am capable of feeling my comradeship with the universe of humanity, which is a sublime joy and a crushing burden at the same time. He's 5'2" and he's 6 feet tall. He fights with missiles and he's huge. He's all of 31 and he's only 17. He's been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will. Kill for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for Canada, he's fighting for France, he's fighting for the USA. He's fighting for the Russians, and he's fighting for Japan. And he thinks we'll put an end to war this week. And he's fighting for democracy. He's fighting for the rights. He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die. And he never sees the writing on the wall. But without him, how would Hitler have condemned them at Dachau? Without him, Caesar would have stood alone. He's the one who gives his body as a weapon of war. And without him, all this killing can't go on. He's the universal soldier, and he really is to blame. His orders come from far away no more. They come from here and there and you and me. And brothers, sisters, can't you see? This is not the way we put an end to war.
Some more love for Alistair, please. You all getting your money's worth? I hope. Yeah. Me too. Laura Rubisky was published in the San Diego Poetry Annual. Laura, are you ready to come up and read? So Laura Rubisky.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, it's nice to be here among all of you, and I really appreciated hearing your poems and your songs and just being in your presence. So thank you. I'm going to read two short poems today. One is in the annual. It's my first published poem. And then I wrote that about a year ago, and the other one is a new one I just wrote about a week ago. And in the annual, it's on 330 if anyone has it and would like to follow along. It's called Words Between Floorboards. It's words I miss the most when I'm alone. The ones I've lost, the ones I couldn't mourn. When soured lovers leave, I stoop to find some dusty conversations left behind in cracks between the floorboards, fading now. I plow my fingernails and scrape inside. I grasp at linty silences we shared that jut and peel and shred against my skin. This is the new one, so I'm working on it. And it's called Packing for a Ceasefire Visit Back Home. A little bit of background, I suppose. I'm originally from Israel. I came as an immigrant as a child. So back home is back in Israel, back to Israel. I was the scout my siblings deployed to watch and report from the top of the stairs. Those flights just took off in the middle of the night, as if passengers were children sneaking out in the dark. His hard-shelled suitcase, silver and new, lay on the floor, half empty for gifts he'd bring us if he made it. He fastened the clasps down, metallic clicks blasted. I'd forgotten what he told me about taking a full breath, then letting half out before pulling the trigger. I crouched to the floor and it let out a creak. His head jolted up and I skittered away. I'd pulled up my blanket when he entered my room, mouth and nose covered, ears on alert, eyes lidded tightly with fluttering lashes. In 4 weeks, I'll see you again, he said softly. I lay silent until he was nearly gone, then kicked off my blanket, snapped my head to him, and slung, I'll forget your face by then. Rolling over to look at the night through my window, I wondered if what he said after was true, that the moon will watch the night for me as it watches over you. I wanted it to swallow the dark with me inside as I sank into bed and clutched my pillow and tried to forget how distant we are.
Let's get some love for Laura, please. Keep having those immigrants come in and treat them with respect, huh? You can come back anytime you want to. Really, really enjoy hearing your poetry. I need to take a couple seconds here because we are recording this to say that you're going to get your mail-in ballot. It's going to be mailed out to you, all of you, on October 8th if you're registered to vote. If you're not registered to vote, you can do it 15 days before November 8th. You can still register. They'll still send it to you. When you have your ballot, you go ahead and color all of the little bubbles. Make sure you get everything, all the ink inside the bubbles. And when you put your ballot in the envelope, you have to sign it on the envelope on the outside and date it. If you don't do that, they won't count your vote. Okay? They're saying you can vote by mail. There's ballot drop boxes. Like for me, I usually take mine over to Malcolm X Library. But if you go to sdvote.com, all of this information will be on there. Plus, you can also sign up for them to trace your ballot when you drop it in that ballot box. So you know when it arrives to the people that are going to be counting the votes. So we have more handles than we've had in the past. And now we have vote centers. Used to be I had to go to City Heights Recreation to do my voting. Now you can go to any of the vote centers. Your name will be on there if you're registered, if you don't want to do a mail-in ballot. Please, these midterms are very important. Please register to vote if you're not already registered and follow through with what they're instructing us to do. Alistair.
I wonder if I could add something to what you just said.
Yeah.
Because, I hadn't thought of it, that was foolish. How many of you know about writing postcards to people in other states to encourage them to vote? It's a very powerful thing. You handwrite the postcard, so somebody gets a postcard addressed to them personally, handwritten, and it just says, vote. But as most of us know, the more people vote, the better off we are. So if anybody's interested in getting that information, or maybe I should pass it on to Jim, you get a whole list of people and the postcards, and you just sit there and write postcards and send them to North Carolina or God knows where. And I think it could make a difference.
Yeah, and the League of Women Voters has such a list.
Okay, Jack, did you have your hand up? Someone over here have their hand up? Okay, because this is a community kind of a thing, you know? I also wanted to say that I was in Vietnam Veterans Against the War. When I came back from Vietnam, I was introduced to Scott, who was the coordinator at the University of Florida. And someone said, you got to call this guy, because they were listening. I was writing poetry back then. And he said, hey, we talked for about 10, 15 minutes. And he said, how would you like to be the Central Florida coordinator? Oh, okay. And so we did a fast against the war. We would go into the streets and we would do guerrilla theater. We would perform a false massacre with blood bags and all that stuff. And we had news conferences that exposed all the lies of President Nixon. And so that poem, I heard that song in 50 years, and thank you for singing that song.
I'm glad. I was very nervous about singing.
You got a few Vietnam vets in here
I
that,
know you do.
that are really grateful for that.
Oh, what's wonderful.
So do I have one more poet, or is it still civilian time? Okay, you're giving me the, I'm the professor, and you better listen to me. Look, okay, well, we're glad you're here. Can we get some love for Dolores Fisher? Who's a
I'll do these.
oh, you're gonna, oh, let's give her some love. She's gonna read if she doesn't want to. Yay. Yay, yay, yay.
She was so terrific. Come on, Dolores. Good. Good.
Don't hit me with that cake.
Oh, I'm basically nonviolent.
Basically.
Much love, my brother. Much love, everybody. I brought some poems that were part of my early life, so I'll just read them. Inner city Lacrimosa. I stagger squinted, blinded in your rage. Now purgatorial glare surveys your daily feral, mad laughing frenzy. You broad brush stroke gangster graffiti collages and kicked over desks, ricocheting malice onto the ground of our learning space. I strained, I heard, I reached toward remorseful changelings cry as your fists dropped feet on lambs' heads. Now deafened ears clang, toll, deus irae, Kyrie eleison against the few legion cursed spawn who join to foul our temporal haven. I defended your verbal switchblade mouth, slash dining on tender waifs whose weeping pain intones from miasmic ghetto classroom. Too many bruised, gashed, insult battered, shadow children, hemorrhage in front of my eyes. I used to be a teacher. I am become stigmata. Bleeding life into waning souls in urban middle school Golgotha. A shepherd, broken, as I carry angst-shattered crosses and stumble beneath the blood tears of my own.
Yeah.
I know Jim works with those students who cause so much chaos and wind up in the juvenile court system. Sometimes when they come back, because of people like Brother Jim and many of you who volunteer, they're totally changed children. But until they change, until they accept what we in Africana studies call personal agency, they disrupt and they destroy. And so I applaud all of you who volunteer to change lives. My second is dedicated to Joni Mitchell. Joni of the Canyon, a sister's song to Joni Mitchell. Refrain. A 15 lady of the canyon came to early morning tea, holding innocence and starlight golden. Verse 1. Sip now from porcelain cup, herb brewed tea at dawn, dear lady. Red rose, honeysuckle, and nightshade spray. Ride Apathe's lithe breezes. Verse 2. Sit, Nema's neon, sunflower petal mountains and moonbeam seeds. Do you hear? Finches and broad chest lark and nightingale chime chase Inanna echoes through thick maned canopies. Bridge. Divert my lament. Artemis's palace has too many rooms in which wild laughing nymphs circle dance. Refrain.
At 15, lady in the canyon, come to early morning tea, holding innocence and starlight golden. Coda. Innocence, a sun-shattered raisin. Life, a lustless, hollow albatross. Oh, canyon lady, come early to tea. Sip middle-aged morn strong, brewed ale. Sing into my sad, sad heart. Starlight's golden nectar.
Lois Fisher, musician, professor, poet. Thank you. So we're almost at the end now. You know, I had a lot of mentors. Some of you are my mentors, and they said when you write, have a strong beginning, a strong middle, and a strong end of your poem. And I think one of the strongest ending that we can do today is to acknowledge a electronics genius. That's Mr. Williams over here, who's our Zoom master, award-winning filmmaker. He's built 2 websites for me. If you're interested in having that done, please see him after we're all done, because he is the best. Alfred Williams, good to see you, brother. One of my students in juvenile hall, there's a juvenile hall chapter in here, and that change that Dolores just talked about that happened for Jocelyn B. We're not allowed to use their last name. We can only use their last initial because they have the confidentiality of the juvenile justice system. And this poem is called Change. This is by Jocelyn. It's International Women's Day, and as a woman, I'm proud. I'm proud to be a woman who struggles and cries. I'm proud to have a voice and not settle for less. As Mexican women, we are seen to cook, clean, and stay home and raise our families. I say no to that. No, I am equal. I too have dreams outside of my home because I am a moon and Mexican. This is what a household is. I want to change that. I'm a proud mom with a voice, looking to change generations. Not bad for 16. Yes. Usually only read one poem to end our time together, but this is the first poem in the annual. It's called Teaching My Daughter to Put Out Fire. I think we're all hoping for more rain because the fires are still going on. And this seems, you know, we have, as poets, we have concrete language, but we have figurative language. And I'll be reading this poem in juvenile hall tomorrow, and I'm going to ask the students in front of me, I'll have 2 classes, what are some of the fires that you have a hard time putting out? Yes. It isn't your typical scenario. A young mother who worked 7 years ago as a wildland firefighter, driving a Jeep in 4-wheel drive up 3N14, the back road to Big Bear, with her daughter 5 years old to reach the rattlesnake fire burn zone, the last fire she ever fought. This is another July day. The mother wants to see for herself how the mangled landscape looks today, what remains of the Joshua and pinyon trees, what bird sounds filter now through barren air, what reference points to negotiate by without the Jeffrey pines or live oak, without the juniper. And she worked on this fire. She watched it burn away, huge boulders scattered, revealed, ominous ghost wails rising from the heavy smoke. She wants to reassess, look for signs of life, now that so much has been taken away. One careless toss of a cigarette, one careless finger on a trigger, a father locked away, his best friend dead. Most of us have forgotten the ceremonies. Many of us know only how to rape the land, kill and torch and defile with a reckless hand because they can. because they can. Some things have been destroyed forever. Some things might have been saved. Some things new and strange will grow in this space. Will there be birds, ravens, or a few western jay? Will there be mountain wildflowers suckling the darkened dirt? Perhaps a few deer negotiating their way across a moonscape on their way to a small spring. Jackrabbits hopping in and out of the slowly dying Joshua trees. Before they reach the lonely place, they stop at an empty campground so the daughter can run and play. Her daughter spots it first, a wisp of smoke tickled by the light wind and rising. A careless camper, a campfire not put out. The mother reaches for her army shovel and hands her daughter a bottle of water. We have work to do, my dear. This is how you put out a fire before it has a chance to erupt. Look for the small things, a wisp of sensual smoke, a gleam of orange eyes, a seduction of tiny flame. This is where it starts. This is where it will stop. Nothing more will burn here today. This is not good fire. This is not a place to play. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next month. Williams, Jim Moreno, God bless you all. Stepped up here. Over here, Jim.